Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Words of Wisdom podcast. Today on the show, we have a very special guest, another very special guest. We've got Mr. Tony Bonner, who is a singer, producer, director, and actor in both the film and musical theater industry with 80 plus projects that he's worked on. He's also the president of Manly Surf Lifesaving Club in Australia, and he gained the Order of Australia Medal as well as a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Warner Brothers Studios. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Axyl, no, it's good to see you and good to see the produce, a son of a friend of mine, your father, Ross.
Perfect. And guys, as always, just heads up, if I'm down, I've got my set of notes here. So, Tony, like I told you earlier, this is going to be super interesting for me because I can't sing, I can't dance, I can act, and that's pretty much it in terms of, well, I can do one of the three things you can do. That leads me to the question, would you say, because obviously you've performed so many times in musical theater, you've had your own singing gigs, would you say that singing is one of those things that you're either born with it or you can learn how to do it?
Oh no, you can certainly learn how to do it. Yes, some are born. They open their mouth. They have a natural sense of pitch and the key to sing in. Yes, there are singers that have that natural ear, but it's a process of just finding where your voice is. Being taught by a teacher that you have knowledge and respect for, they will place your voice. They will find where your voice sits in you and what key, what range it is, and then the journey kind of starts. And then it's up to you as the singer, as it is with the painter, the artist, the actor, the musician. You then need to tell a story. If you sing a lyric, if you sing words, they have to mean something. They just can't be said as a parrot or a budgerigar would say words that you teach them to say. You have to give those words intention and feeling and emotion. And that's what a singer does. That's what an actor does. That's what a sculptor does with metal or stone. He gives that block of stone a life. He kind of makes you want to talk to it in a sense. You walk into a gallery and you see, or a friend's home, and you see a painting on the wall that kind of talks to you. That's the talent of the artist with the brush. Same as the swordsman, same with someone with a rifle, target shooting. It's the manner in which you hold that and breathe. And it's just what you do, what you need to learn and what you need to do.
I think it's safe to say I'm not a natural at it then.
But you'll find it. You'll find it. You'll be doing a class, and during one of those lessons, the voice will find you. It'll just sit somewhere that feels right, and then the journey will start.
I mean, if anyone were to ever hear my singing compared to your singing, I think let's stay away from that. But that makes me super interested to ask you, because I know that your parents, both of them, they both can sing. They're both great performers themselves.
Yeah.
How was your process getting into the industry of singing, dancing, acting? What was that like for you?
Well, yes, my father was a very well-known musical theatre baritone, bass baritone here in Australia and New Zealand, and toured a little with shows. And my mother was a very fine soprano and pianist. I kind of came into it in a sense. There were no acting schools as such when I started. You needed to kind of join a company in the chorus or the corps de ballet or whatever the style of theatre you're going into, with a passion and an intention to learn and get better. Then you asked questions. Then you started taking classes. You found someone or a teacher was suggested to you, and you would go to those classes and learn how to breathe, learn how to enunciate words, learn how to interpret the music. So that's what you did. So I went into theater and worked backstage in big theaters here in Australia as what's called a dresser. I worked in the wardrobe department, that when an actor would come off stage, if he had a very quick change out of a certain costume into another costume quickly to re-enter the stage, I was there to help do with the zips and the Velcro and to get that actor ready and quickly to get back on stage. So I watched every night. I watched what actors did. I spoke to my father. He would tell me what he did. So I learned by a process of asking questions, finding the answers for myself, putting them into practice, I hope with a teacher who would then advise on the manner in which how to breathe to get through this music phrase. So you learned by repetition, you learned by making mistakes, and there's kind of no such thing as making a mistake. If you make an error, if you fail somewhere, that's great, because you learn from that. You don't ever treat a mistake as some sort of dreadful thing that's going to impound or do something to your life. You take it and say, isn't that great that I made that mistake now, because I'll never make it again. So, at my age, I will make a mistake today or tomorrow. And that's great. That's fine. I'm still a student. Even at my age, I'm still going to classes. I'm still talking to actors that I appreciate and have a feeling for, and they will tell me what they were thinking about and what caused them. Oh, I'm just catching some sun. They will advise me what the manner in which it was better to do. I'm just trying to get out of that light.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So that's the process. You learn, you make a slight mistake, you learn from that mistake, and you just keep soldiering on. And that's with everything: dance, theater, an actor, a musician, a singer, a sculptor, an artist, whatever you're doing, a cameraman. You'll frame something and you'll think, I can do a better frame, I can do a better shot on this, I can do a better pan. So it's a process of learning. And the bottom line, Axyl, I suppose, is you have to love what you do. If you're doing it for some kind of ego bullshit reason, it's going to be a difficult journey. I genuinely love what I do. For me to walk into a theater or a television studio or onto a film location, I just love it. I love teaching. I love being in a room with people who want to learn something, who want to ask me questions for me to hopefully try and answer, but then to cause some sort of debate, some sort of a discussion. And that's how you learn.
Beautifully said. Wow.
You just learn from the bottom up. You can't be a great singer, great actor, great artist, great musician, great editor, great cinematographer until you've paid your dues, until you've learned and you've watched other work and you've spoken to people and you have an openness to, like a blotter or a sponge, to take stuff in, work it, think about it, change it, and then let the stuff you don't need go and just keep the stuff you need.
There's so much wisdom spat out just there. I'm trying. All right, we'll push the the music and everything aside, because I really want to know where this beautiful mindset that you've developed came from. Because I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
And I think it's so true that it's just a learning process. You're not
Yep.
going to get it right instantly. Put the ego aside, put the pride aside, and learn.
Yep. Yep.
But so many people struggle with developing that. Where did you develop it?
Um, I don't know. Just maybe. Uh, I was never in a race to be anywhere. I'm still not in a race to be somewhere. I'm happy with today. And if I learn something today, if I get through the day, then that's great. Then I look forward to tomorrow. You know, I just, the finish line will come to me soon enough. I don't think about the word retiring. To retire doesn't come into my mind or my thought. I just want to keep going, doing what I can do until I can't do it anymore.
Mm,
And then I suppose that's the end of the journey. But I don't want to kind of retire, sit somewhere and wait for the end of the journey to come.
mm,
I want to kind of go out saying, hey, I still got more to do. I still got more to learn.
mm,
And hopefully the higher power in my life will say, well, you've had a run in this one. You can learn more in the next part of your journey.
mm,
And I don't know what that's going to be. I'm not an overly religious person. I kind of have a Zen-based philosophy in
mm,
life. You know, I think ego and pride and bullshit will kill you and hurt you. I try not to have any of that. And if I feel that's creeping into my life, I stop it. I go, whoa, hey, what the hell am I doing? Um, so I just try and just be me.
mm. Certainly, because especially in the industry that you're in, it's so easy for ego and pride once it
You
creeps
bet.
in to have everything just go to crap. Because,
Well, yeah, it can. It can if it gets out of hand. Uh,
mm,
I mean, having a sensible ego where you know you you're not egotistical. You just have a pride in what you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to do. Then that's great. I mean, I
mm,
love that. I don't have enough of that myself. I got to be real honest. I see friends of mine and actors that just have that right balance of appreciation for themselves, the talent they have, their abilities, the manner in which they can entertain and hold an audience. And I love that.
mm,
Some go too far, some are kind of too egotistical, too full of bullshit. And that's sad. I'm saddened for that person, because they're giving themselves and the people around them a hard time. Um, yeah, it's just you don't want yes people around you. You don't
mm,
want people around you that are continually saying yes to everything you say. You want people to pull you up and say, hey, think about this. You're not thinking about this, and just take a moment. You want people around you that are straight with you.
mm. Definitely. I feel that that is so true because if you
Yeah.
just have yes men all around you, you're gonna
Oh yeah.
come to a point and just embarrass the life out of you.
Well,
So,
sure. And if things get tough with you, they're the first people that'll bail, that'll leave you.
mm, oh,
You know.
going like that. So, moving back to your musical theater side, because I'm extremely fascinated.
Mm.
How okay, singing, acting, dancing. You're
Yep.
amazing at all three, but I know there must be one in particular that you're like, oh, this is a tough one. Which one was it for you?
Oh, they're all tough for me. I mean, I'm not a dancer as such in musicals. I mean, I would love to dance like the guys in West Side Story. I'd love to be able to do those knee spins and those moves. I can't do that. I never could do it, and I'm not built to have that rhythm, that Latin, that energy, that dynamics. that the dancers have in musical theatre, i.e., the West Side Story kids.
Mm.
I can move. I did movement classes. So when a song was being set in a show, the choreographer could say to me, "Tone, can you do this movement?" And would show me a movement in wherever the movement was to happen in the song lyric, and I would practice that and do that. And I could handle movement, but I would certainly say that I'm not a dancer as such. But yeah, I can be given movement. Singing, yeah, I'm a competent singer. I'm not great. I can hold a tune. I can sing in the melody. My baritone voice is fine. I like thinking of the lyric a lot. I think that's an important journey to take an audience on, the lyric of the song. And the acting aspect. Well, it's acting in the musical theater is not as important as acting, obviously, in a straight play or a drama, because that's what the character and the piece is about this journey of this man and this other man and this woman, without the beauty and the tricks of dance and light and music. You have to take an audience on a different journey. You have to take them on a journey of moments of silence. I've always worked on the thought and the process that it's not what I'm saying that's important. It's what I don't say. It's those moments of silence when you're being a dramatic or a theatrical actor. It's those moments when you need an audience to be thinking about what you're thinking about. You need an audience to work with you. You don't stand on stage or in front of a camera and expand words and say words, which obviously you do, but it's the manner in which you say them and the manner in which you give a pause somewhere that makes that audience reflect on what you've just said, what you're saying and what you're doing, and it involves them more. You need a theatre actor or an actor on film, without music and dance, needs to have that kind of music and dance in his head, but now to use just words and moments to make the audience go on the journey with you. That's all it's about. You're a storyteller. That's all I am. An actor is a storyteller. And if I don't believe the story that I'm telling, then I've got to figure the audience is not going to believe it either. So the second that I leave a dressing room to walk towards a stage, to go on that stage, or walk out of a dressing room on the way to the studio to film, I'm leaving Tony behind in the dressing room. And every step I'm taking, I'm putting on the man that I'm about to be. I talk to my students about not acting. I don't want to see my students act, and I don't want to act. What I want to do is be the man that I have to be in this film, and be in the emotional state that he's in various scenes, when he's angry or when he's charming or when he's humorous or when he's satirical. What I want to be him. I don't want to act him.
I saw it's exactly what you said. I heard it somewhere else as well. He said it quite different, a little bit differently, but it's the same thing. A good actor is not someone who can act well. A good actor is someone who can be someone else.
You bet. I mean, but that's because it's not you. You have to get it through the student, the young actor coming up has to have an understanding that they're not playing, they're not playing them. They're
Mm.
playing the character that's been written in the script, so they need to be that character, not them.
Yeah.
You know, I've played men and done and said things in film and television, not so much in theatre, but certainly in film and television, that I don't like the goddamn man that I'm playing.
Mm.
You know, uh, but that's my challenge. I've got to be this man I don't like.
Mm.
So the more I can find in him that I don't like, the better I hope my performance is going to be.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's talk about film though, because I know you've got a little, not in comparison to your film experience, your musical
Yep,
theater experience is nowhere near as much as that. And I'm
yep,
very curious as well, because obviously your parents worked in that industry, and now you're
yep.
going to not a completely different industry, but something that's they're in the same entertainment regime, but they're different in itself. What made you choose film instead of musical theater, and how was that transition like?
Oh, I think a bit like most things in life. Sometimes things choose you. Sometimes things find you. You
Mm,
know, that's why I think it's sensible not to be absolutely locked in to a process, a thought. Uh, um, and I say that in respect to the great violinists and the great singers and the great people that seem to know from a very young age what they want to be. And they focus on that. They just practice that violin day, hours of a day, until that instrument is a part of them, and you watch this person develop from a young person to a teenager, getting better and bolder, and then into their 20s and 30s, becoming this extraordinary talent, uh, and not interested or focusing on anything else or any other genre of music. Their music is this, either classical 12 string guitar or a violin or a viola or a cello or something. They're not interested in playing something else. They just want to be and find all the elements of the greatness of this one thing. And I
mm,
love that. I absolutely love that, because I know an opera singer. I mean, I know quite a few opera singers, and to go through the study that you need to go through to get your voice and your breathing in the athletic condition that it's got to be to sing an opera, um, it's mind bending, you know. Um I love that and I appreciate it. I'm a bit more of a gypsy in a sense. I like being on stage. I like theatre, but I love film and I love television. So um, I don't have a preference to any of the genres that I'm involved in. I love them all.
mm,
It's really that simple. Whatever I'm doing at this moment, I love. You
mm.
know, if it's a film today and the film finishes in 4 weeks, uh, whatever the next job I'm doing, it may be something on television, it may be something in theatre. I may be teaching for a month at a teaching a film academy. Um, I may be writing. I write articles for various magazines. I enjoy that. Um, but when I'm finished the film, then I'll do something else, you
Mm,
know, and I'll be just as happy doing that as I was with the film. You know,
beautiful. I
it's like having a menu
mm,
in a cafe. You open the menu. There's not just one dish there.
mm,
There's there's little appetizers, and there's starters and main courses and sweets, desserts, and that's kind of my life. It's a
Mm,
menu that I open it and gee whiz, this is what I'm doing this week or this month, and then I look down the menu and I'm doing something else next month.
mm.
You know.
I was extremely interested in having you on the show when I was reading and I'm seeing, whoa, this guy did this, he did this, he did this. It's just like you said, the whole menu thing. Like you're trying everything on that menu, and
You
I'm
bet.
fascinated by it. So
Mm.
you climbed the ranks of film and television relatively quick in comparison to other people. How was that process like from you? From all of a sudden now you're not all of a sudden, but you became the lead. I believe it was at 18 is when you were, or was that your
Yeah.
first film
Oh
thing?
yeah, no, that would have been. I think you're referring to a television series I did back
Mm,
then, like nearly 60 years ago, that became an international hit and still is. It's still the most successful and watched Australian television series ever made, and it's probably in the top 10 of all time in all the countries. And that was a television series called Skippy. Uh, it was about a kangaroo, and it was about me flying a helicopter and being a helicopter ranger, about a head ranger that had two sons. So,
mm,
and then a girl, Lisa Goddard, came into the show as Clancy. But we did that show. I wasn't on it that long. I probably did it for about a year and a half, and then that was great. I loved it. I could have stayed in it, but I wanted. I'd kind of done enough in that show. When you're in a television series for a long time and you're playing the same character day after day after day, after a period of time, the writers run out of new ideas for you, so they start repeating, kind of changing a little bit, repeating scripts or storylines that you've done, maybe 6 months or 8 months ago, just changing them a little. So to me, to stay in a television series, I mean, I could, if the character was extraordinarily interesting, and I found the character always of interest, then I could probably stay longer in a show. But when I did Skippy, it was, to me, it was long enough. I'd done enough of various bits and pieces as the character, and I wanted now to get out of this Rangers uniform and maybe play a bad guy, a drug addict or a violent gang motorcycle lead. I wanted to play a different role.
mm,
I played this one guy for like a year and a half, and it was great. It's fun, and I did it to the best of my abilities. It was pretty successful. People, it's unbelievable. I'll walk down the street, and people will wander up and say, "Hey, Jerry." They'll talk about me from 60 years ago, and I think, how the hell can I still look like that young guy when 60 years ago? But that's the love that people had for the show.
mm,
They, they just loved it. So, and I did as well. I loved doing it at the time, but I moved on. So I think the show you're talking about was that Skippy show that certainly, yeah, on an international basis set my image up. I went to England not long after I left the show, and I got straight into a film. I went to Turkey and filmed there on a big film for American Columbia Pictures. Then I came back to London, and I did I did something at Elstree Studio, and then I did a film in Malta, which was fabulous. Um, uh, and then back to London. Then I did The Persuaders, a big television series in London with Tony Curtis and Roger Moore. Um, So, then I went to Africa and did a film down there. And then I came back to Australia and did 2 films back here. You just kind of go where the work and the opportunities are.
Mm.
I went to America then, did some film in Los Angeles, did television in Los Angeles, had a wonderful time with Angela Lansbury on Murder, She Wrote, which was a great series being shot out of LA. So then back to Australia to do something here. I think I came back then to do The Man from Snowy River, a kind of big film here with Kirk Douglas. That's what you do. You just, scripts come up, you finish this film, and a producer would be interested in you doing a play for them or a television, and they offer you look at the script and you read the script, and if the character's interesting, you do that. So it's a bit like, as I was suggesting a moment ago, it's a bit like that menu in the restaurant. There's all the different stuff in there, and you just hopefully get asked to do stuff.
There are so many questions I have off that, because I've got questions, not so much actually about the success you've achieved, but more so the mind, because I don't know if people captured it, but when you were saying how you were traveling to different countries, how now you're getting bigger shows, bigger opportunities, what I'm thinking is, I can't imagine what must be going on through your mind, because you're young, everything's happening so quick, you don't really have time to, it's sort of like when you're learning to swim, you didn't really, start at the shallow end and slowly more comfortable. You were sort of like deep end, swim on the spot. Did you feel pressure going through that phase where it's big film, big TV series, different country, big stars around you, and you were just this young, handsome Tony going, whoa? What was that like for you?
Yeah. No, well, you do that. I can remember the first time I walked onto the stage in the studio at Pinewood, and I'd seen films made in Pinewood nearly all my life. And then here I was going through the gates of Pinewood Studios to work down there on the L and M studio lots. With Roger Moore, who, became a great friend until he passed a few years ago. And I walked on, and here's Roger Moore, who's a big star in England. He was just loved, and as he should be. And then, I turned a little bit, and there's Tony Curtis, one of the Hollywood the stars of all time in Hollywood. And I'd seen so many films of Tony's. And I thought, wow, I mean, it's kind of funny. But when you work in a studio, it doesn't matter. You kind of don't know where you are to an extent, because the interior of a studio is the same in Australia as it is in Germany, in Malta, in Africa, in America. The inside of a studio is the inside of a studio. The people in there, you hope are all there for the right reasons. They're trying to make this film to the best of their abilities. Everyone's kind of helping and giving energy to everyone else. So, I love going into a scene with actors, because all I'm attempting to do with the man that I'm playing in the scene is to give the other actors in the scene every ounce of passion, intention, moments of interest to them. Because if I do that to my fellow actors, they'll give it back to me. They'll lift their energies and performance. And they won't just be saying words. They'll be feeling the words they're saying. They'll be feeling the emotions and the moments in that scene. And it'll make that scene a great scene. That's what I hope to do.
I mean, you certainly did that. Every single Australian friend of mine, I asked him, you know that Skippy show? Yep. Yeah. My dad loved it. My dad loved it. I'm just there, like a full circle moment because the impact you've had, maybe in the moment you didn't realize, but it ended
Yeah.
up touching so many people. Like how you said, you have people coming up to you 60 years later,
Yeah.
yo, and you're just like, wow. That makes me ask. I've heard a lot of people, well, I've heard a few takes on this. Some people say fame is great. Some people also say that fame is like a drug, that if you get too sucked into it, it can make you make poor decisions. And then also you have the people, the friendship aspect of it, where now, when you don't really have a name, someone's talking to you mostly just because they want to get to know you. But once you have money or fame or a name, now it comes people, are they talking to you because they want to know you? Are they trying
Sure.
to use you? How did you deal with fame and popularity?
Um, I I didn't I didn't kind of overly think about it. I've got to be honest. I just tried not to be different. I just tried to be another guy drinking at the bar or in the restaurant having dinner or at the beach surfing or whatever the hell I was doing. Um, I didn't. I don't think I played at being Tony Bono, well-known actor. I just I just played at being the best fella I could think about being, and I think just to jump ahead, and you may get to it, and I don't want to waste too much of your time now, but I was president of the Manly Lifesaving Club on 3 different occasions over the last 25 or 30 years. My grandfather was the very first president down there at Manly Lifesaving Club. So that's kind of like my home. So all the guys in the life-saving movement, being of service to the community and the beach-going people, saving lives when needed. That kind of keeps you level, because if you're in a community of people that, riders, builders, working the banks, just people in life. I'm just another person in life. I'm doing a job that I love to do. I'm real fortunate. I mean, I get out of bed of a morning to go to work to something I love to do. And I hope a lot of people are, but I know a lot of people don't like what they do. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine turning up at a job that I don't like. Fuck, that'd be dreadful. So I as I said before, I like what I do. I love what I do. Um, so I hang out with the guys at the Lifesaving Club. We surf together. We bugger around together. You know, um, they don't think of me as this guy that does films and television. They just think of me as another member of the Lifesaving Club. That if someone's in trouble in the water, that we'll pick up a rescue ski or some flotation device, or get in the IAB, the rubber ducky boat, and get the hell out and save them. So that kind of has always kept me in place. You know, uh, um, I didn't hide away. I didn't drink in VIP areas of pubs and bars. I drank with the mob. Uh, uh, yeah, I've just tried to fit in, I suppose.
I love that. Wow. I love that so much. How even though your circumstances changed, you just
Yeah,
kept hanging with the same people,
you
doing the
bet.
same things. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah,
Jumping back more so to the filming side of this, because I mean, okay, doing one big thing in this industry, okay, that's good. Two, that's good. Three, but 60 years
yeah.
is, I mean, I don't think many people can say they've performed at such a high level for that long. How has your preparation changed from the start of your career to now when you've matured and had all of those experiences that you've had?
Mm. Well, I wouldn't change too much in my life, Axel, because you learn, as I was suggesting earlier, whatever stupidity or mistakes that I made in my life, I learned from them and I tried not to do them again. You know, I might make a different mistake, you know, next week, and that's fine. I mean, as I said, I'm flawed. I'm just an ordinary fella that has good and bad moments. So I've got to learn when I have the bad moments, not to have that particular bad moment again. Um, so uh, yeah, so then I wouldn't have changed too much. I've learned by just being in life, being in situations, being in a few fights in my life, some for the right reasons, some for not the right reasons. Um, I think the only thing that I have regrets about, or I wish hadn't have happened, or if I could have gone back in life to change, I would not have started drinking. I had problems for a long time in my life with alcohol. Uh, I drank too much. I drank with the wrong people. I drank in the wrong places. Um, had lots of accidents, lots of kind of fights, arguments that shouldn't have happened. Um, so uh, I was really pleased, 35 years ago this year, that I put the cork back in the bottle and finished. Uh, uh, would I have liked it to happen earlier? Yeah, you bet. You bet. I made some silly mistakes while on the drink. Uh, I left places. I should have stayed in London longer. When I was first there, I had a real opportunity to start getting ahead. Uh, and I didn't. I went to Spain and got on the drink there with some friends, and then I went to America. I should have stayed in America longer. My career there was starting to move along, but I didn't. I left, and my agents back in that period of my life would say to me, "Tony, what the hell are you doing? Why are you leaving?" Uh, and I suppose, Axel, I'm not real sure myself. I think a bit of it was out of fear. Uh, I was maybe strange, but I was and still am to a degree, but it's not going to happen now. I'm too old. But back then, when I had a real opportunity to be successful, and I mean really, really big time successful, I was scared. I ran from it. I didn't know how to I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't have a mentor, which I try and be now to young actors and well, anyone, but uh, you need a mentor in life. You need someone, a monk, a priest, I don't care who. You need someone that you can just sit with and say, I feel like this. Why do I feel like this? What do I need to do not to feel like this? Um, you need that person, and I didn't have that person when I was a young guy, and so uh, yeah, I just got kind of out of control a bit. You know, I run into people now, Axel, that say, "Holy shit, Tony, how are you still alive?" And I'd say, "Oh man, I am, but what did I do with you?" And I would hear tales of my life that I think, "Holy hell, how did I survive that?" You know.
Mm,
Uh, yeah, it's which I'm not proud of. I can assure you. I'm proud of my sobriety now for 35 years. Um, so if I wanted to change anything about me, I would not like to have picked up that first drink,
mm,
which I was about 14, I suppose. Most guys start drinking when they're about 14. Um, So that's been my only problem. Well, not only, but the problem I would like to uh, have not fed not been a part of. I wish I had have had someone back then to grab me and say, listen, you got to do something about this.
Mm.
I never had that, you know. I'd left home. I was a young actor. I got out on the road when I was about 15 to start traveling. So, I mean, my mum knew I had problems, and I'd like her. I'm sure she does know upstairs where she is that 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 I got sober. I know she would have loved to have known that I got through it. She worried for me. All mothers worry for their boys, but she worried about me riding my motorcycle drunk, and just the stupidity we get into. But other than that, Axyl, there's not much else I would have changed. Made all the problems I had, I learned from them. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as perfection. No one's got a perfect life. No one will ever have a perfect life. You play the cards you're dealt.
Mm.
I was dealt this hand that I got it. I didn't have the greatest childhood, but that's okay. I learned from that as well. So yeah, you just go on the journey. But all I have ever tried to impress on anyone is love what you do.
Mm.
Just find something you love to do. Doesn't matter what it is, but love it.
Mm. I have so much appreciation and respect for how honest. I know a lot of people try to hide it, especially people who have a name. A lot of them try to come out as this perfect
Mm,
figure. Or they'll very briefly say, "Oh, I made a mistake, but it's all good now." But the fact
mm,
that you opened up and shared it,
mm.
I have so much respect for that. And
Well, I thank you.
congratulations as well. 35 years sober. That
You
makes me
bet. You
how
bet.
was that? Because I know you said that you drank more of a fear, like
Yeah.
what's I can't, the word's not coming to me. It's a
Yeah.
coping mechanism. There we go. You
You
coped with
bet.
it. How did you, when you stopped drinking and went sober? How was your new coping mechanism with fear like
Well,
compared to
well,
alcohol?
I had a set of tools, Axyl, that were given to me in the rehab detox setup I went to in Melbourne. Uh, they gave me a set of tools in my head that when I started to feel too lonely, too hungry, too scared, when I felt the twos are an important thing. When you feel too anything, um, that I needed then to put into place the tools that they'd given to me to think before I acted, to not to react the way I used to. So that's what you do. I just have these tools now. Once when I was driving, if someone was slow in front of me, I'd start to get angry and pissed off. But now I just visualize that the person in the car in front of me is some sweet woman like my mum. Uh, I don't get angry then. I've got a set of tools now that have been given to me to stop me from feeling too cold, too lonely, too sad, too anything.
Mm,
I've got these tools just to say, oh, hang on, I'm starting to feel too. Once I think about that, then I will call a pal of mine and say, hey, what are you doing? Let's have a cup of coffee. I need to have a talk. You know, uh, you got to share stuff in your life. If you keep it bottled up inside you, you're just going to blow up. So you just got to find someone who you trust, that you can say, "This is how I feel, and I don't want to feel this way. What's happening?" And very quickly you'll work it out. That you're scared of something, that you're worried about something. Um, all stuff that you can resolve if you face it. You
mm,
know, uh, like if you get into trouble with owing money, you don't run, you don't lie, you just go and see that organization or the bank or the person, and you say, hey, I know I owe you this. Can we work a plan out? Can we sort something out? Of course, that person's going to say, "You bet we can." You
Mm.
know, you bet we can. So everything can be resolved if you don't run.
Definitely. It's like I heard it somewhere. It was pretty much like the demons only get bigger when you don't confront them.
You bet. Alfred Hitchcock, the great Alfred Hitchcock, arguably one of the great directors of all time.
Mm.
He played with us all with exactly what you just said then, Axyl.
Mm.
He could make the creak of a board in a hallway put fear into you. He could do a shot of just a door handle turning, and it put the fear in you. You know, what you don't know, you elaborate on, and the monster become, as you just said, the monster becomes bigger and scarier.
Mm. Wow, scaring
and
some.
and 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 usually it's your little dog or cat or something scratching against the door outside or doing something quite innocently, and here you are lying in bed going, holy hell, the world's going to end, I'm going to be killed.
That's that's actually happened to me because I have two cats, and I remember when we first got them, I was so, I was so accustomed to at night it's quiet. There's no
Yeah.
noise, no nothing. And I just hear like scratching or banging or some plastic. And I remember I just tug under my blanket saying, "Oh, don't kill me, don't kill me." Until one day I eventually just, stood up, just went, no. I think I grabbed a bat, like a cricket bat. I had it
Yeah,
home. Just to see like a tiny 6-month-old kitten playing with some plastic on the floor.
you bet.
You brought back memories with that one.
Yeah, well, the great Alfred Hitchcock was the master
Mm.
of putting the demons into you created the demons in your own head watching his films.
Mm.
That was his genius.
Beautiful.
You
Speaking
know,
of demons and creating things in your own head, I know from personal experience, maybe it's slightly different as you act at a higher level, but I know for me, I do martial arts, I do sports as well. Before a game, my mind is always running, and I've learned to control it better as we move on,
yeah,
as I grow. But the difference between sports and acting is, in sports you're yourself. You can be a little stiff, you can be a little nervous, you can show that. As long as at the end of the day you still do what you need to, it's okay.
sure.
However, with acting, you can see, oh, this character is nervous, but he's not meant to be
Mm,
nervous. And
mm,
on stage, like musical theater and stuff, a TV series probably as well. How did you learn to handle those emotions?
mm. Yeah, no, I understand completely. Well, I mean, fear is good. Fear kept in check gives you an energy and an awareness that you've got to stay focused. You know, if you're too casual about a boxing match or a karate or Muay Thai or something, if you're too, then you're going to get clipped. You need that. You need a certain energy, and not so much nervousness. It's not fear. It's just an energy that you know you must stay focused.
Mm.
You know, and it's a bit the same with being an actor. You walk on stage, and there's 800 people in the audience that are about to see you, um, and you've got your opening line of dialogue, and you've got wherever the movement is in the scene. But if you walk on as the man you're playing, the man I'm playing, it's not Tony Bonham walking on, and I never stand like in the wings. And when my cue on stage comes, I just step onto the stage. I never do that. I can, if I'm watching a play, I can pick the actors that are standing in the wings, just waiting to step into the scene. I always started my walk from maybe 4 or 5 meters back. So when I came into the scene, it was a natural energy that I brought on with me. It wasn't this step in. It was
Mm.
a naturalness that I'd come from somewhere into this scene. Um, so it's, yeah, of course I get nervous, but I like being nervous to that degree because it keeps me on tune. It keeps me focused. If I'm not kind of and I stay in the moment. I mean, uh, if I'm about to say something, that's what I'm about to say. I'm not thinking of something in two sentences time. I'm not thinking about something behind me that I've just done or said. I've got to, for me, and I suggest to all actors I work with, I've got to stay in this moment. I can't be in this moment, Axyl, if my brain is in another moment. It's a bit like you in a karate fight. If you're doing something and you notice him blocking or doing throwing certain something in a pattern, and you suddenly think, that's great. Now your brain's saying, I'm going to do this. He will do that. Then I can do this. It won't happen.
Mm.
It won't happen. If you get ahead trying to outfox him, outplan him, he's going to clip you on the chin. He's going to catch you.
Mm.
Just stay in your moment. Stay in your zone. What you need to do to win this fight.
Mm.
You know you're going to take some punishment. You know this. You kind of know what's going to happen because you've studied his fight. You know the manner in which he fights and where his strengths are, uh, and you do what you need to do.
Mm. Beautifully said. Oh, I'm enjoying this so much. The hard thing about podcasting for me is I love learning, I love asking questions, and with so like an hour may be long for people, but when you're learning so much, I'm sure you know yourself, an hour goes by
Sure,
snap of the fingers.
sure.
So we're almost at the end, which is
Yep,
unfortunate because I've just been having a blast with you. I want to touch up upon your teaching because I mean, just me sitting here listening to you, I've learned so much. And I know you've mentioned that different parts as well, what some young people are struggling. Maybe it's with mentorship, maybe it's with acting itself, maybe it's with certain movements. What do you find is the most, not most common, what's the hardest thing in your opinion for young aspiring actors that want to follow in your footsteps?
Oh no, I think you've kind of answered most of that, Axel. It's it's number one, loving what you do, and having courage to do and be someone that you don't like or don't want to be. Uh, that's the always the difficult characters to play. You know, uh, the most difficult men for me to play are intuitive and naturally good, funny, well balanced, happy people. That's not me. I'm a person that's a bit darkish, a bit always looking. If I'm walking down a street, I'm looking to see where either trouble from cars may come or where it's possible I could be jumped or I need to be aware of survival. Uh, uh, I was like walking on the sunny side of a street. I just, uh, so for me, when I play what I call a nice human being who's just centered, balanced, happy, uh, there's a couple of friends of mine who I kind of channel
Mm.
for the manner in which they are, and their openness and security in who they are. I kind of, if I'm playing that sort of man, that's naturally not me. So I've got to think about, and I channel two people to try and find this well balanced, happy human being. If I'm playing a dysfunctional guy who has problems, emotional, mental, physical, uh, I can play that man. I can get into his skin and I can find him, and I
Mm.
hope bring him to life in the man I'm playing. But to be that just happy, charming, no kind of reason to be, just to be a nice human being. That when you smile, you're not smiling for people to say anything. You just smile, and people want to kind of be with you because it's a smile of innocence and charm, and it's not being used for any reason. It's just a smile.
I think you already have got that. Genuinely.
Yeah.
I think you've already got it.
Yeah, no, man. I've got to work on it. I've got to work on it.
I'd say you're doing a pretty good job, because everything you've said, when you're saying like, yeah, I want to be more like this person who can do it, in my head, I'm like, I don't really understand what you mean. You already,
because I don't intuitively think that way. I intuitively think, what do I need to do to survive? That's me. I just don't walk out of a gate. I walk out of a gate thinking about the possibility of a car or something coming up on the footpath, or something happening, or I don't relax. You know, I've got to force myself to relax. People will say, and I was with a friend of mine yesterday that said, you're never anywhere for a long time. You arrive somewhere, you'll be somewhere, and I can see you're already looking for a manner in which to leave, to go. I'm just not comfortable with lots of people and crowds. And so if I get in those situations, I'm looking for an exit.
I mean, hey, better safe than sorry, right? Because anything can happen at any time. I'm the exact same. I don't like big crowds. I don't like close where everyone's packed together if I can't see an exit.
You bet.
I completely understand you.
Yeah. So, but if I'm playing a nice guys don't think that way. You know?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't tell me that, I would have never guessed that from you. So I would definitely say that what you feel on the inside is not projecting at all.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Tony, thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Axyl Clarkson, it's been a joy. I might send your old man, your dad, a message tonight saying, I worked with you, young fella, today, and it was a joy.
And I'm more enjoyable than him.